The board is set. The native Fremen dream of creating a green Arrakis, while the Baron Harkonnen wants to paint it red. Smugglers who above all desire profit by turning the tables. The noble Atreides, bound by the whims of the Emperor, are blinded by their honor. The board is set. The Spice War begins.
Wow. Quite the intro to Dune Spice Wars. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and today's video is going to cover this amazing new game and also cover a bit of my opinion and how to play the game as well from what I've learned over a few battles against the AI. The game currently is early access and there's no multiplayer as of yet, but you can play from the 4 factions that you saw in the intro: the Atreides, the Harkonnen, the Smugglers, and the Fremen, who are all kind of different in their own ways and also very similar in many as well. Well, this game is from the exact same makers as Northgard, so if you're a big fan of that, yeah, I think you'll absolutely love this. And what's impressive about this game is at first glance, and when I saw the trailers, I couldn't believe that this game was going to be an RTS, and was absolutely convinced that it'd be a turn-based game similar to more of a civilization builder rather than something along the lines of Stellaris, but on the surface of Arrakis. Well, Dune Spice Wars is amazing, and I gotta say right at the top of the video that I just love this game. It's amazing. The recent movie really got me inspired again to look and learn a little bit more about Dune, as I first experienced it back in like the early 2000s with the EA RTS, the real-time strategy game. And though I didn't know much and still don't know much about Arrakis and the whole Dune world, or the world of the universe of Dune, yeah, this is a great way to get into all of that. Well, good to see you all here. Thanks again for smashing the like button and subscribing, and of course becoming members down below. You can do that to support the channel right now next to the subscribe button. That'd be awesome. Well, anyway, we're going to start a new game here today, and we're going to probably play as the Atreides faction, because after my adventures, I found out that they're kind of the easiest to learn, easiest to master, have some advantages that really help them out in the early and mid games, and then probably in the later games, the Fremen and, of course, the Smugglers can really shine. But all the factions are very unique and all very interesting, with different voice actors and music and their own look and feel, yet, you know, they feel like each other as well, so it's a lot easier to go from faction to faction. All right, well, let's jump into a new game here, and we'll go over the factions, and then we'll try to start a game and kind of tell you how everything works here. So there's your 4 factions: House Atreides, House Harkonnen, the Smugglers, and the Fremen. Now, the Fremen are kind of like the natives, in a way, of this planet, and they kind of are like one with the planet. They know a lot more about it and can utilize the planet itself against their enemies and use things like thumpers to attract worms and whatnot. The Smugglers kind of manipulate the markets and do some stealthy things, and a lot more about intel and behind-the-scenes operations that can help you pull off a win. The House Harkonnen are really just more of like a military juggernaut, like vigilantes and mercenaries, and other units can be used along with them in order to really bring devastation and destruction to their enemies. They get a lot of other military advantages that the other factions don't get, but House Atreides kind of takes a little bit from those 3 factions I just mentioned to kind of bring their own mix of everything to the field. They're very good with the economy. They've got some advantages that give them some off-world units, and also some extra boosts for some things in their military as well, and some units that, you know, when they work in conjunction, they really are combined arms, and that makes them very powerful. Once you choose your faction in this game, by the way, you can read all about their bonuses on the left side and a little bit of their background, and on the right side you can pick some counselors, which also changes the game within the game as well. So not only can you play as 4 different factions, but the 4 different counselors for each of those factions kind of mix things up a bit, give you a veteran unit, or give you some sort of extra boost for intel or something along those lines. For today, we're going to go with Gurney, and we're going to go with Duncan, Idaho, and both of those units together will go with us to give us a little bit of a bonus. If you want to read all this, there's a lot of extra detail here for authority or whatnot, but I'm going to try to be brief and simple and just say that I love this, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's a hell of a lot of good fun, I must say. So there's the briefing on those two. If you want to change settings in the game too, by the way, next to the start button, you can have a much larger map. The maps get quite large if you want to go much bigger than that. You can also increase the sandworm activity and storm activity, and also the Sitch hostility, which is like the, they're kind of like neutral villages, but then they can attack. They're hostile, but not really, but they are kind of a weird in-between on who they're going to attack and when, and you can also trade with them. So they're not fully hostile, but think of them as kind of like pirates in a way. The victories for domination, it's basically about destroying the other factions by destroying their HQ, and then there's 2 other victories for political, and I always forget how to say that. Hemenji? I always forget. You guys can tell me down below in the comments section. I'd like to know. There's also assassinations, which means you can kill the leader of each house and win that way through intel and other types of ways to kill off counselors, I believe is also a thing. I think I may have heard somebody talking about that as well. And then you can also turn on and off different AI players and adjust their difficulty. So for now, we're just going to leave everything as it is. In a standard game, this is kind of like the base game that's recommended for now. And we're going to jump in as the House Atreides. Let's go. And here we are. Welcome to Arrakis. Now, there's a little bit of a tutorial that pops up in the left side of the game for every match like this. You can click on this and it'll kind of tell you about what you'll need to be doing here on the planet. And essentially what our goal here is, if you're a pro or not, everybody pretty much knows about the spice. Everyone is on this planet to harvest a material or a substance known as spice to ship it off the planet in exchange for money and honor and glory and some other things. Keep in mind, I'm trying to keep this as simple as I can for anybody who may not know about the game or about the lore. And I certainly am a complete noob too, so if I get something wrong, make sure you elaborate down below. But essentially our goal here is to expand our current base and capture villages around that we can discover through this thing, the Ornithopter, which is essentially a helicopter that's kind of shaped more like a dragonfly or whatnot. Each faction gets their own, and sometimes they look a little different, but they all are basically scout units that can go into looks like a dust storm here, but it's really just like the fog of war. And so from here, this is our main base where we can make military units over here on the right side, and then explore all around us for all sorts of different resources that we can utilize to make production bonuses for materials that we're going to need in order to get that spice. So the things to keep in mind are Solari, which is like our money, Plastcrete, not to be confused with Plasteel from RimWorld, which is our construction material. We have manpower, which is utilized for pretty much everything from military vehicles to also upgrading our harvesters to become more effective with their harvesting. There's also fuel cells that we can utilize in order to make flying vehicles, such as airfields, so that way we can transport our units around via dropship. We also have water, which we'll need to capture enemy villages or neutral villages, and authority to kind of do the same. And then the lance rod standing, I haven't really fully figured out just how that works yet, so I'll kind of comment on that a little later. And by just saying it's kind of like an extra special currency or thing that you can utilize in order to get extra special units later in the game based on your standing, kind of. All right. Anyway, now that we've explained that, one of the first things to do in the game would be to recruit military units, and every faction gets their own unit. Essentially, there's like a melee unit and a ranged unit for most of them, and you can go ahead and build 2 of these units. This is just my opinion from my experience, and we're going to try to find a local village that has spice and see if we can take that over. Now, one of the first things you might want to do is there's an auto recon button down here in the lower left corner. The harvesters also get a button for auto recall whenever there's a sandworm detected. If you do not recall, your unit's sandworms will attack them and eat them whole. That goes for military units and pretty much anything on the ground. So we're going to go ahead and have our copper, we'll just call it the chopper here for now, go ahead and explore it. If we put it on auto, it'll just go to the nearest area. Looks like we've already spotted some spice down here, so we're going to go that way. If we zoom out far enough, you can almost see the edges of the map. There's kind of like some horizontal lines, which are the edge. Keep in mind, this is just the medium size, and so they do get much bigger. But essentially, it's a large, round arena, and everybody kind of starts at random places in the arena, and our territory is controlled by capturing more of those villages. So you can see we've started here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, where our units just spawned out next to our HQ, and now we can move them to where villages may be. Now, a pro tip is typically these villages appear on these harder areas where it looks like there's hard rock where the sandworms really can't attack. So anytime that you see a little bit of rock like this, you could probably tell that there's going to be a village there, and so you can kind of use that intel to move your units there in advance. Now, we don't have to capture this village. In fact, we probably should go for the one down here, but we can also explore with these units too.
Let's go.
So we can also go into the fog of war here and try to find out what's around. Now, there's a green bar above our units, which is our health for each of those units, and there's also a orange bar too that's below, which is their supplies. So when they go into enemy or neutral territory, they'll suddenly start losing that as a little timer is ticking down, and unless we go into friendly territory, these units could die. You can increase that through an astronomical amount of research, and just to give you all who are curious about the game a little bit of a peek, there's quite a bit of things to learn about the diplomacy, research, and intel, and espionage, so it gets very advanced later in the game. We're going to go ahead and capture this village then to start. Another pro tip is if you click to attack a village, the defending units will come out earlier, so the closer you get, especially with melee units, the better, because then they can inflict less damage on you while you're moving. Another great thing is that you can find a lot of stuff out in the sand too, and so you can utilize that to capture, to get extra plasticrete or solari or pretty much anything. We're going to go ahead and attack this village now. As you can see, our units were about to half supply now. The orange bar is down about halfway. And there's also some veterancy under these units too. You can see that they start with like a level 2 veterancy, which may be from the counselor that we went with earlier. Yeah, the counselors that we chose definitely make a difference. Now keep in mind, your transit time moving across the desert is massive. Like it's very massively important. And so the longer you take to move across the desert, the worse off it is. Excellent. We're almost capturing that village. Almost there. And we're going to take that just momentarily. Another thing to keep in mind is wind strength for some of these regions. If we click down here, you can see the different types of areas that these are and different wind strengths. You can hover over a lot of this stuff in the lower left corner to learn exactly what the terrain is like. Some affect supply more than others, and some may also contain more sandworms than others. All right, we're going to go ahead and capture this village now. That'll take some water and some authority, and that'll just take a few moments for us to capture. A military unit needs to stay there, but when a unit is in a territory that's now under dispute that we're capturing, the supply will go back up, so now there's no longer like hostile lands there, and the units can resupply that away. The next thing we'll do is probably move down to this village so we can capture that for the spice, which is this purple stuff here, and this is essentially what we're looking to harvest with those harvesters, and we can build a harvester in this village soon as well. Now that we've captured this village in just a moment, we can also build some new stuff here, and so if we're going to capture another village, another great way to do that is by making sure that we do that with wind traps. Water. We need water to capture additional villages, so we're going to go ahead and build one of those here. And another nearby resource is these minerals that are over here, the blue stuff down here. These minerals are great for making more plasticrete. So if we build a plasticrete factory there, which we can build anywhere, but if we build it here, we especially get an extra bonus, which is pretty important. All right, let's go down and capture that village. Let's go ahead and make some more military units. We could have done that in the meantime, but keep in mind, since we're kind of just in a explanation and exploration of not only the game but the world and all that other stuff, it's going to be important that we kind of just try to cover everything. We now have research, and an astronomical crazy amount of research in this game for everything like intel in the upper left in purple. We have some economy in the upper right corner. We have some military in the lower left corner, and some more economy in the lower right corner here too. These are kind of differences between, like, for example, water and trade, and this one's kind of more like building and spice trade, that kind of thing. So in this case, we'll go for composite materials and structured warehouses, survival training, and we can only queue up about 3 of these. So 1, 2, 3, even though that says 2. Another thing to keep in mind is you have experts that'll come in from time to time too, so we'll get our first agent shortly. And there's also the Lancerod Council, which is basically like a senate where we can make laws and things like that, and we can do different votes, which is intimidating as hell. I don't know how exactly it works, but it's important to understand, and I will work on doing that. A beautiful day-night cycle in this game too, absolutely gorgeous, just looks incredible. All sorts of different areas of the desert. It's just really astonishing. So our first loan payment is due, is what I like to joke around and say. This is our imperial tax, and by the time that pie chart fills up completely, we're going to owe the Emperor essentially 80 spice. So we need to try to accomplish gathering that ASAP. We're going to try to go down there and see if we can do that. Unfortunately, it seems like we're kind of in a tough spot. We have to go a long distance to get down there to that spice field, or at least to this village. So We're going to try to move close and see if we can capture it ASAP. The less time that we take to capture it, the better, so that's why we're bringing more military units. And we might not make our goal of capturing, or rather harvesting, enough spice after capturing that village as we're supposed to, but we'll try to go for it. And if you do it, there's some benefits. If you don't, there's some punishments, but eventually you can get back on track. And essentially all four factions are here kind of fighting out to earn the Emperor's favor in a way, or at least try to be the one in control of Arrakis, which is both a good and a bad thing. It's like a curse, you know, like being the last to die, but still dying, at least on the inside.
Yes, sir.
All right, our units have almost made it. This is a long way to go. They're going to have some tough... I don't know if they're going to make it. We'll see. All right, if we can fight it out quickly, we're going to have a good time. Our units may take extra damage. You can see the moons up there. Cool to see. Now these are where the fights are going to be mostly in the game, is these spice villages. Spice not only can get you, you know, benefits for capturing the spice field itself and controlling it for the spice, but also you can trade that for money too, and so thus that'll allow you to buy other things. Like, for example, we can click on the other factions and trade with them things that we might need. So if we need more plasticrete, or if we want to buy spice in order to make our goal, we can do it that way. So like, for example, if we're going to be a little short, we can buy from this guy, and we'll basically be able to trade him money for that type of thing, if we want to. Probably not a good idea at the start, but we could do it. Let's just do it just for the instance of the trade, and we'll also make a trade agreement with him too. Perfect. All right, so now we've made our first payment, or at least we're ready to. And now we're also going to make a building here of the refinery. The refinery is how we'll be able to get our spice, so we'll build that right here. And that'll be just fine. Now, as I mentioned before, we can get benefits by rewards by basically flying over some of these with the ornithopter. And so we can just basically go back and check this out and make a decision on what we want to do with it. This one, for example, will give us plasticrete. The one that we just looked at will give us Solari, and so on and so forth. You can also find extra little ornithopters around and get them repaired too. All right, let's go to Espionage. We have a specialist now that we can put into many of these different fields. For the start, I recommend the Spacing Guild or Choam, which is basically either money or manpower for one of these two. Solari is a good way to start, but in this case, we're low on manpower, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can increase that. And the reason we're low on manpower is because we've got the... all this military here. We've got all these units here, so we're going to continue to suffer a little bit as we now try to capture another village so we can build something else. All right, now I'm going to attack and show you what it's like to attack from a long distance, and you'll see these enemy units come out earlier. But we can also build militia units that can defend these villages, so rather than having our military, a massive military, defending all of our territory, we can build defenses and militias inside of each of these villages to defend them. The more important one probably being the, of course, the village here. But now it's time to attack this village over here. There go the troops. Now, obviously, you want to keep your ranged units at range. They also have the ability to melee attack, but the closer they are, the worse it is. Oh, and there's the sandworm. All right, let's purposely lose this unit just so you can see the sandworm, because that's going to be badass. So we're going to pretend that we don't want to lose this unit. But oh no, oh guys, oh this unit, oh I don't, oh no, oh no, we got to get out of here, guys. The sandworm is coming. Oh, we got to get out of here. I don't want to lose this super valuable unit. Oh no, no, my unit. Oh no. Oh man. Oh man. And so not only can the sandworm swallow up one, but multiple units and harvesters and much more. So definitely don't want to lose that, but that was pretty sweet. Okay, and those can basically come from anywhere, except for rocky soil and usually not near cliffs or anything like that. But now we're going to build ourselves a recruiting center so we can get back on track with our manpower so we can get more military units. Now that's why we have a surplus, because one of those units willingly went on vacation permanently. So thanks to them. All right, so now we have our harvester here. We can go ahead and we need to manually deploy our harvester every time that is recalled to the refinery, but we do want to turn auto recall on. Otherwise, this could be destroyed. And so you'll see what's known as a carry-all come in. Once we hit deploy, that'll attach to our harvester, and then it'll drop it off over here. I believe all the harvesters in the game look the same, though obviously in the movie there was differences between the Harkonnen and the Atreides, and probably all the other harvesters that are used. There's differences between them all. I'm sure there's many different reasons to use many different harvesters. But hey, look at this! Over here we're getting attacked by rebels, so we got to go defend our territory. So let's go do that. And while we're being attacked, we're not able to build militia units or defenses. So once they enter that area and start to capture, that's basically the end of defenses being constructed. It'll put them on pause, and some other things will happen too. Alright, so we've got a village under siege here. We've got a trade request from Mr. Thick.
What do you want?
And we have 51 seconds. He wants to basically send us intel and money for some influence. So sure, why not? That'll allow us to make up for that military unit that we lost earlier. Alright, pretty soon the Landsraad Council will pop up, and so we'll kind of talk briefly about that as well. And you see these shuttles and whatnot that zip back and forth? I believe these are just mostly cosmetic to show you what territories you may have, and just to kind of make it look like your territories are connected and that there's some economy and trade going on. And as you can see, we've expanded a little bit. We're not really fighting enemies here just yet. This is kind of like neutral bandits or rebels or whatnot, and they'll continuously be all around the map and try to recapture territories. These guys basically stand no chance against our military forces at all, so that's a good thing. We're scouting out other territories. Our ornithopter's doing a good job. These are very expensive too, by the way. 400 Solari and some fuel cells are incredibly expensive at the start. So if you want to, go find a crash site and try to rebuild one. That'll be a good thing for you. All right, we're going to try to go to some of these territories with our ornithopter, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can get some of these. Very good thing to every once in a while turn off the exploration and start doing the... once you discover something, you then have to kind of click on it to make a decision for it, and these just offer some really big bonuses. Like, for example, getting the extra plascrete or some extra money at the start is huge. So take a second to micromanage that and make sure you claim those if you can. Oh, looks like we're ready for our policies to be set. Now, I'm not exactly sure how the Landsraad fully works, but basically at a certain point, the more powerful ones who get the better favors in the council can make decisions for things like, for example, you know, plus 50% manpower, plus 30% unit power, negative influence. There'll be these random decisions, then you can vote for the ones that you want to happen or vote against them so they don't happen. Like, for example, if you're dominating everyone else militarily, the enemies against you might start voting for a higher military upkeep, and so thus it kind of is more expensive for your military, and thus it's harder for you to grow, and they get a little bit of a chance to catch up. It's almost like a balancing act, but it's all random too. Alright, let's attack this village. Now, while you're attacking villages, the worms can come in too, so you got to make sure you're inside of a village while you're attacking so the worms don't attack you. So that's a good thing to consider. Now, when we reach 2,000, in which we're at 1,100 of this hegemony, whatever it is, yes, this will unlock additional things that we can build around our HQ, and that goes for all the factions. And then you can build things close to each other. Like, for example, you can build 2 economic buildings that will work in tandem. And so building likewise buildings in likewise sectors will give bonuses. Like, for example, military buildings built near each other will give things like recruitment bonuses or power bonuses for like your units. It'll be like plus 20 attack or something like that. So big bonuses. Very expensive. Take a little while to get to, but very much worth it. All right, we have some more plasteel now. That's great. We're going to continue to capture other territories here. We'll call some of these back into our territory and push out this way. So yes, at the start, it's mostly a neutral territory where each faction will continue to spread around and around and around until you all push up against each other's borders. And then you try to start finding weaknesses and continue to attack, attack, attack. Looks like all this research has been done here. Let's go ahead and try to go for a little bit more economy. We'll go for intelligence and also local dialect studies. Local dialect studies is a research that will lower the cost in order to capture a once enemy village. Essentially, the annexation price will be lower. Right now, we can't take this one because we don't have enough authority, but we'll be gaining more and more of that as we make some changes and stuff to our military. And also our territory. All right, looks like our chopper is doing some stuff down there. I want to keep on just trying to take advantage of the stuff directly around us, so I'm going to instruct him to do that. And we should be able to add a crew member now to our harvester, which will make them more effective, so keep in mind that you can do that for each and every one of your individual harvesters. So that's a good thing, too. And we need some more plascrete, so let's go ahead and make a... we're going to make a factory here to do that, which is the plascrete factory. We'll go ahead and build that here, which will take advantage of this here. Now, if you're wondering if your territories are in each different sector, I think if you hover over them, it'll show you the border of each sector. So you can tell that this one in the south is the one with the spice, this one in the north is the one with the minerals, and this one here doesn't really have anything at the moment, but it is connected to another territory that will have spice right over here. So we can go up north and continue to attack up there. More votes and stuff now. Here are the votes that we can finally vote on and whatnot. And different charters and things like that. But that's much more advanced, much more complicated, but you can click and do things in there. It does make a difference. So you do have kind of control over that. Alright, let's continue to build more stuff here. We've got a town over here that we can build in as well. Let's see. We have a military base that we can construct. There's 4 wind strength. I'd recommend 5+. I've seen up to 6 as well for wind strength. Higher wind means more water. Maintenance center means that you'll lower the upkeep of buildings around you. So really good to put that in the middle of like a couple of different sectors. Like for example, if I capture this village down here, it'd be good to build one here because it'll affect this sector and maybe this sector here, etc., etc. All right, this is a very dangerous area to avoid right here. You see this sand? This is known as the deep desert, and this massive wind strength, but there's a massive amount of supply loss here, and it's also very dangerous. No real villages around, wide open, sandworms can gobble you right up. Essentially, consider it to be an ocean, except you can cross it if you're, brave enough. But there are possibilities where you could cross through small sections, like for example here, if there was some, let's say dry land on the other side, for lack of a better word, some solid rock, you should be able to make a pass through there, no problem. Okay, we need 67 authority, so we're going to continue to gather more. We're going to go ahead and build some more military units. Let's use a heavy weapons squad this time around. They got some more armor, and they're kind of a ranged weapon. You can kind of see what each one of these different units does. And there's even more that you can unlock as time goes on. And each of the factions kind of have somewhat similar units, but also vastly different at the same time. Your melee units are mostly the same with some other perks and some differences to make them unique, but they all essentially work like melee, ranged, heavy, that type of thing. Okay, ongoing siege. Yes, that's reminding us that we have there. Hey, we have another person here. Another person who's going to work in espionage, and as we put them into these different fields, we can gain all those different bonuses, so that's good. Influence, authority. Let's go for the authority production so we don't have to wait as long. And once we get to 67, we can capture that village too, but we can stay there infinitely as kind of an occupying force until we're able to bring them into our grasp.
Yes, sir.
Alright, let's go ahead and go up this way. I think we should be able to move through here, perhaps.
We're listening. Heavy weapon at your service.
Oh yeah, that voice actor, whatever that is, always reminds me of Kylo Ren. I don't know why.
Here to deal with the heavy stuffs.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and check out this. We've got a little bit of a volcano here, an energy source. By capturing this village, this will allow us to get a boost to our fuel cell production, and that will allow us to build more airfields and more ornithopters with little to no effort, really. We can buy all the materials we need too. For example, if we need, as I showed you before, if we need some more spice, we can do that, or plascrete, or sell too. So keep in mind, you can do it that way. Now this little bar here, this purple and gold bar, we can actually click and drag this up and down to adjust our chome versus stockpiling of spice. So right now we can pay our imperial tax of 109 spice. I don't know if that's 1,000 tons or whatever it may be, but we're going to go ahead and reduce the amount that we're saving, and we're going to increase the amount that we're sending off to essentially like a stock market. We're sending it to a public market where we're paid for it in Solari, and so now we've increased drastically our income, and so now we can buy a lot more military units and stuff that way, so we can continue to increase our growth military-wise, except right now we're kind of at a deficit for water. So our biggest thing would be more plascrete, and so once we get that, we'll be able to take advantage of more stuff there. So yeah, if we build on the the Higa Plateau, we'll have a wind strength of 4, so that's going to be pretty good. All right. So whenever that happens, that noise, it means a sandworm's coming in. You can see the ground essentially shaking. You can click right there, and that'll tell you that a sandworm has been detected, but essentially this is automatic because we put it on auto deploy before, or auto recall, and then we can just deploy it again once it comes on back. So there you go. So by the time that that harvester drops back onto the position, the worm will be gone and we're good to go. Yep. So that's all you got to do. Now keep in mind that you can have about 5, 6, 7 harvesters, so it can take a while. But oh, looks like we have an incoming sandstorm. Right. We haven't even made contact with other factions yet. It actually seems like the Harkonnen might be down here, the little bit of that red border. But these are another hazard to watch out for. These will obliterate your army. They're very devastating. Will eliminate the health of pretty much anything in the area pretty quickly. So we'll kind of see what kind of an effect it has on a harvester, because I haven't seen it hit one of those before. But if that's coming for your army, get the hell out of there. There's no way you're going to survive that. And you can use the aircraft as a quick evacuation too. I'll kind of show that off in just a moment as well. Let's see which way we should go. We'll try to go northeast here and see if we can capture that village. We need the authority though. Let's see if it damages the harvester. Well, the harvester doesn't seem to be affected by it at all. And that could be a really good thing, that if an enemy army is trying to attack your harvester, which they definitely can do, this would be great coverage for your harvester in not being affected by the incoming sandstorm like that. Alright, well, now we just need some water, so let's go ahead and build another building, maybe down here with the wind strength 4. Every time we build a building, we can build another one, but after 2, we need to unlock additional slots with 100 plascrete, which I think increases from 100 to 200, 300, 400, etc., and then the price of the building. So expansion becomes incredibly expensive, especially if you're trying to build special buildings on each one of the areas in which you expand in. Go ahead and grab our little ornithopter here and take advantage of this stuff here. There we go. And with 5 water, we should be able to improve upon our capturing rate. All right, let's go back to research. One of the next things we're going to research after the intelligence network will be local dialect, which will lower the amount of authority it takes to annex a village. And then after that, we'll go for water contracts, which should give us a higher amount of water because it'll lower the upkeep that it takes to keep our army working. We can make more units that way and also capture things faster, so it's a good option for military. It's a very good option for militaries. And of course, you can do things politically. You can always do intel and back-end operations, where you can, like for example, go into the operations here under espionage, and this window here on the right side, you can do things like try to probe out and spy on the enemy. You can try to use things like poison the reserves, which then makes it so that way enemies, their armies will start to lose supply in allied territory. So if your units are sitting here right next to your base and they poison the reserves, it means they got to go elsewhere. So it'll force the enemy's hand to move their units. Alright, finally we can capture the high ground there. So Anakin will be a little pissed off about that, but that's alright. And then we're going to go over here and capture this village. So essentially this is what we'll do. We continue to expand until we hit our enemy's borders. And then we kind of either, have a temporary peace with them, or we immediately eradicate them. But we do need to watch out for things like, for example, militia. So that could be definitely dangerous for us, when we're capturing their villages. Could be something to worry about. Now, additionally, we have a lot of deep deserts here and here. So these are areas that might protect us against invasion, not to mention these massive rock cliffs. So it's really good to get a lay of the land and look at things geologically. So that way you can kind of plan your defenses. There's a good choke point here, so this area is going to be a good, actually right here, perfect. Good passage right for our troops all the way straight through the deep desert. So this could be a very good area to control and scout into and spy on the enemy and get closer to their territory. Alright, Harkonnen wants to buy plascrete and influence, but I'm going to go ahead and say no to that because I want to keep building my base. Oh, it looks like enemy raiders are coming back to attack this village. Let's see if we can build an army before they get here. We'll go for veteran militia. Expensive, but very powerful. And we can buy some more...
Yes, sir.
And we can buy some more units as well. We got to keep these guys in supply before we attack. That was close. Let's get some more Rangers. And we'll send them over there. Alright, let's see if these guys will actually... unfortunately, I think they're going to capture it before our militia units are made. But as they're attacking, let's see. It looks like it did pause the militia unit. No, it did not. Because we're fighting outside the city, it looks like... No, it looks like it actually did. Alright. So as they're attacking the town and our force that's near it, it looks like it paused the militia unit that we had going on there. This unit will perish if we don't retreat. And it looks like a sandworm's coming in, so we better get the hell out of there.
Yes, sir.
It could affect their units too, so we must move without rhythm because the spice must flow.
Awaiting command.
Alright, let's go ahead and retreat from that area.
Let's go. We are on the move. Yes, sir.
And we're going to try to save this unit here.
Let's go. On duty. We are on the move.
Awaiting orders. Received.
And we'll go for this village. Alright, our goal now is going to be to capture this village, and this village, and this village. We're up against the wall too, by the way, so capturing these villages up here are really great because we can build a lot of industries and might not have to defend them a lot. But remember, the enemy has little caves and such, and by that I mean the neutral, the people of Arrakis have, and not the Fremen faction either, but kind of this in-between faction has the ability to, you know, hide in the cliffs and such, and so they can launch attacks at you at all times. So you're always going to constantly be under attack, either from the enemies that you've entered the lobby with, or from, you know, the quote-unquote pirates. They're not pirates, but I'm just using that as a term to kind of explain
Awaiting command.
a little bit better. All right, we need to stop these guys from capturing so they don't destroy our village, and we're going to get these guys resupplied. Our army's growing quite nicely, and I think we're doing quite well for, you know, just a little tutorial. Now, when it comes to beating your enemy, eventually you can go to their HQ, and you might find them. They all look different, by the way. Each of the factions have a much different HQ. And so it is really difficult to destroy enemy HQs. I think it's one of the things that, I guess, is a setback from the game because it takes a very long time
Duty. Is that where you need us?
to actually capture a, or rather destroy an enemy HQ because of the massive amount of health that they may have. So
Need to blow something up.
I like these units actually kicking them. That's hilarious.
Let's go. Don't look at the explosions, sir.
There we go. So all that fighting can attract sandworms.
Focus.
Units kind of just sitting stationary don't really do much. Oh, we'll take a loss there and see if we can keep these units fighting. So yeah, we're under constant attack all the time. Hey, nice! Missiles can go out. Beautiful. Automatically, our HQ will launch attacks on the enemy, so if you happen to have a village really close to your initial starting zone, it's a great way to finish off enemy militias without having to build additional units. And so it's a really fast way, especially the best start ever is when there's like an enemy, like a rebel village or something here. You can send out a couple of units, quickly take it, quickly annex it, and then you can also try to basically...
Heavy weapon. At
oh,
your
good, they
service.
survived. You can basically start building buildings right away, very quickly. All right, those guys got clapped, devastated, but we're all good. All right, our units are crossing Arrakis very quickly. So yeah, this darker smog or smoke or whatever just means that we can't go. You see the lighter gray clouds? We can scout through that and travel there, but not through these dark clouds. You'll also find the poles of Arrakis here too, which are basically covered in ice. But I don't think it gives any bonus towards water production or anything if you build there. I may be wrong about that. But anyway, our next loan payment is 263. That's just what I call it. And yeah, so we should have enough to stockpile. So essentially that number will continue to go up and up and up and up. So we must keep up with the demand of spice. We have to capture more and export more, supply and demand. Now, if we can't expand our territory due to you know, some difficult terrain or the enemy being a real pain in the ass, what we can do is we can try to capture more and more, or rather research more and more spice rather than capturing more and more spice. So for example, we can go down here and capture another spice, and if we keep like 3 territories and we start to upgrade our harvesters and put more people inside the harvesters, we'll have a good time. So excellent. All right, let's go ahead and get another specialist in. I think we'll go for let's go for some more manpower this time. and that'll allow us to continue to build our military so we can continue to capture territories. We'll go for more troopers this time. And this village has been taken, so we can move on to the next one.
Let's go.
So troops will cross. We'll find out anything that's useful here. Looks like we can make the fuel cells here. But keep in mind, we can make anything else here too. If we need more plascrete, even though there's not minerals here, we can still make plascrete here, or wind traps, even if the number was like at 2 or something like that. So anything, anywhere, but just better in some places than others. And you can only build one building of each type as well. So we can't build like 4 plascrete factories here just because there's minerals. It must be one type per area maximum, unless there's some other modifier for that. For example, the Harkonnen can build 2 missile launchers. You can defend your villages with missile launchers too, which is amazing. If you happen to have the high ground, and yes, it does matter, you can actually, as the enemy is attacking, if there's a ramp nearby and they launch their attack, you can fire missiles at them as they're coming up the ramp, that kind of thing. So territory and distance definitely do matter.
Yes, sir.
Alright, the carryall's retreating, which means that the worms are coming, and let's go ahead and deal with some
Agreed.
more combat.
On duty.
Alright, there's the militia, we'll fight them, and our ranged units will assist. And that'll be us capturing our second, and then eventually third, right here as we capture Exoaz, or whatever it may be. No, actually we have to capture up here. Yeah, you gotta check out the territory. So yes, this one's linked here, so that'll be our third one. Ah, there's one of the poles of Arrakis. Excellent. So if you click on that, it'll say Polar Sink. The North Pole of Arrakis is the only place where water can be found in significant quantities, although it's frozen form, yeah. So I don't know if we can export that. I don't know if there's any benefit to that. It doesn't look like it, but I could be wrong. Alright, looks like we're going to go for water contracts and then water trade next, so we can continue our output of that. As you can see, we're pretty desperate for it. And we're also desperate for a little bit of more Solari, so let's go ahead and go full export. To Choam, so you'll see that number come up eventually, and then we should make a little bit more cash. We can also do some trade deals with the partners. We can go ahead and do a trade deal with pretty much everybody, and it's good for a little initial money for all parties, although you might not want to do that, but it'll be a good way to eventually get more trade going. Well, it looks like we need water and more authority, so then we'll finally have some more spice and everything nice. Ornithopter here, we can actually send out ground units to this, and we can get another free chopper to explore the landscape with. So that's very beneficial. So everything can be quick commanded here on the right side. All your recon units, all your military units, and all your harvesters are all ready to go here. So you don't even have to look at them to do anything. You'll just know that, for example, one of your choppers is just sitting around and not doing anything. Incredible. We haven't even really encountered the enemy yet. Actually, right over here, we now see the city that the Red faction will always be the Harkonnen, and so we now know what they're doing over here. They're capturing, they're harvesting spice. Oh, there's the spice territory there. So we might want to capture this territory as well. They're not going to be happy about it, but that'll be 1 spice there for us, 1 spice here for us, 1 spice there, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be good stuff.
Awaiting
Alright, we're going to go ahead and capture that unit. Excellent, and now we can recon twice as fast.
on duty. Let's
We can
go.
build those units, or of course we can
Listening.
build those units, or we can also
sir.
find those units. I guess I was going to say capture, but salvage, I guess, would be the more appropriate term, as we're kind of taking it from the crash site and buffing it out, you know? Well, looks like we have some envoys here. We can go for any of these if we want to. These are kind of extra special bonuses that come in from time to time. Little, like, side questy things. Ah, the music's so good, too. Another complaint about the game is that the music is really good, it just doesn't play enough. Which I guess is okay, because it doesn't really get in your face or whatnot. But so as you can see, we've only explored about a quarter of the map. There's still 2 more factions out there. Not to mention locations of more enemy, you know, like the caves in which the enemy occupies, or one of our enemies. A hostile force, if you will. Oh, and speaking of a hostile force, looks like we found the smugglers. We might need to go deal with them shortly. We'll go ahead and try to capture that as soon as possible. Looks like we got water going there. Let's get some water going up here, too. Especially with the +4. So we'll get some more water there. Maybe some more water here. Another +4. Water is very important for the start, for capturing all the other territories. And I think what we'll do here is make sure no one captures it, so let's go with veteran militia units here too. We'll go with 1, and we'll go with another, well, we could build a recruitment center here, which might be good for the manpower, for us to about get ready for building more military units. Oh, you can see some of them coming out here. They are probably going for that village again, so let's get ready.
We are on the move.
So recon really matters.
Yes.
You may see enemies moving like that, and you might not want to engage them, attract attention. You want to kind of keep an eye on their movements, and you'll kind of be able to tell what they're up to.
Yes, sir.
And we can keep an eye on our 2 recon units and see what they're up to.
Sir.
Communication request. Do not mind my troops routinely marching in great numbers, of course. They're moving towards your border, but you should not let the amusing coincidence bother you. So, he's basically hinting that we're about to be attacked, question mark? Oh boy. Oh boy, the Harkonnen are launching an attack.
On duty.
Oh
We
no.
are on the move.
And I think he's got Lancerod guards with him, so that's some pretty hefty military
At your
units right
service,
there.
sir. On our way.
So he's getting ready to launch an attack. I was going to do I was going to do that. He's copying my ideas. All right, let's go with some militia units here. Oh boy, he's launching an attack. I can't believe it. This is going to be awesome. So the AI, I guess, will announce themselves. Other players would probably announce themselves too, just to be funny and to be epic about it. I guess you can't go into battle without making a speech against your enemy to assert dominance. Oh wow, that is I have never seen an attack that big before. That's crazy.
Service, sir.
We're actually gonna have to pull back and see if we can get the HQ to support us.
Awaiting command.
That's amazing. Hold
We
on.
are on the Yes, sir.
Let's pull back just a little bit more.
Let's go.
They have mostly melee units, and they have a veteran unit with them as well. The House Guard, very powerful.
Awaiting command.
They haven't launched their attack yet. Now they have. There, now it's official.
Go, go, go. Let's go.
Alright, we can go ahead and get ready to counterattack. We can call in some of our more elite units, but we're going to need more manpower, and we also need the Call to Arms perk, or research done, so that's going to be down this tier. And as you'd imagine, the Harkonnen going for more military. And a massive amount of units there, too.
Yes, sir.
Now, if they capture that and leave, we can recapture it pretty easily. I don't think holding the high ground really has any sort of benefit for us, but we could try to build probably a military missile silo here, a missile battery. And if they try to launch an attack up the hill, they're going to have to deal with 2 missile batteries, one from our main base and one from our village there. An incredible game so far, I've got to say. I really am impressed with this game, both its appearance and the world and whatnot. I definitely feel a lot of Northgard here, and also just like I love the character design. I love how things look a little like Civ or Old World or Humankind, but it definitely feels like something else. I think the developers have done a very good job. Oh, here we are. That's where the enemy's launching their attacks from. We can trade with these factions too, and try to get on their good side. Right now we're at -33, but if we trade plasteel with them, they'll be happy. Okay. Well, let's see if we can do anything about what the enemy's got going on. We don't really have much for military units at the moment that can deal with them, but we're going to hope that they go away. They do have the option to annex that into their territory. They also have the option to plunder and loot it and leave, which will give them some bonuses for certain things. Oh, nice. Our elite units are kicking ass. They may die, but they may also be okay. You can't add more while they're in combat. A shame.
On duty. Yes.
Well, that's about to be enemy territory pretty quick. But they're threatening our spice trade here, so we're going to have to go that way. Alright. We're going to go back for a little bit more spice. We're going to keep a little bit more in reserve. We'll take a little hit financially, but it'll be okay for now. We don't have much else units to make.
We're going out.
Harvester's doing its thing, good. Let's see what they do here. Oh yeah, so we'll lose all the bonuses and whatnot around this village, and they may continue to press their attack. So let's try to actually lure them in
Blow something up. We'll blow their cover.
and see if we can lure them up here to where the missile batteries are standing by.
On our way. On duty. At your service, sir.
Additionally, we can use intel to stop them from attacking. There is an option to use something called ceasefire, and with ceasefire you can actually make it so the enemy cannot attack your forces there. That's pretty cool. Okay. So we captured this territory back pretty easily. We can easily rebuild, easily recapture in just a few moments, and then push it into their territory. However, you already did see the amount of units that they had, so that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. We're going to probably push down here and go for more of the spice trade this way, where it's going to be safe. I think that's going to be a pretty good opportunity for us. A pretty good start, I'd say. Well, folks, that is it for my first look / first impressions / how to get started in / you should definitely play / wow, this is a good early access game, but I need to see more, including multiplayer and hopefully a campaign and many more factions. And if you know anything about Northgard, you know that the developer, the way they typically do things is they make a pretty damn good stellar game and then add faction after faction after faction after faction. And we might be able to see that in Dune. So I want to know, what did you think about the more recent movie? What do you think factions should be added to this game? And what do you think else should the developer do between now and the full release after early access? What would you like to see? And what don't you want to see? Let me know down below. Thanks again, everybody, for watching this episode on Dune Spice Wars. Please do leave a like on the way out. Please subscribe to the channel if you liked what you saw here today and want to see more. And please feel welcome to write a comment and ask questions down below. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know what you think I should read, what I should watch, and any special facts that you have about Dune, the Sandworms, Arrakis, the Baron, or any of the other characters from Dune. I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.